All right, let's get into it. You know the Cowboys have their own way of doing business, especially when it comes to rookies and undrafted players. And this year, man, they made a move that should have every fan, like you and me, raising an eyebrow. So here's the thing. The Cowboys just wrapped up signing a bunch of undrafted free agents. Nothing new, right? They do this every year. But what's interesting, what really jumps out, is the way they handed out guaranteed money this time around. If you've, been paying attention, you know the Cowboys don't like to spend big unless they absolutely have to. But oddly enough, they've been pretty generous over the years with undrafted free agents. That's where they quietly flex their "we're smarter than everybody else" muscle. Look at guys like Tony Romo, undrafted turned franchise QB. So it makes sense that the Cowboys often treat undrafted signings like secret weapons. And when they like a guy, they let the money talk. This year, some of those guys got serious coin, like almost $250,000 guarantees. That's basically the front office saying, "You're making this team at least on the practice squad." Now here's where it gets real. The team isn't just handing out these numbers randomly. The amount of guaranteed money says everything. It's not just payment, it's a message. When you see one rookie get $235K guaranteed and another get nothing but scraps, that's not just about talent. It's a statement about trust, expectations, and maybe even discipline. But what exactly is this message? And who is it really aimed at? Before we get deeper, let me ask you something. Do you think the Cowboys are right to send a message through the size of a signing bonus? Drop a yes or no in the comments. I want to know where you stand on this one. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Because this story is just getting started. Ready to see who the Cowboys might be targeting with this silent statement? All right, now let's talk names, because two players in particular stood out from the moment the ink dried on their contracts. And trust me, the Cowboys didn't drop big signing bonuses on these guys by accident. This was calculated, strategic, and maybe even a little bold. First up, Denzel Daxon, defensive tackle out of Illinois. The Cowboys gave this guy a $245,000 guarantee. Yeah, you heard that right. Nearly $250,000 for an undrafted rookie. That's more than some sixth-round picks get. So what gives? Daxon isn't just some filler for camp bodies. He's 6'2", 313 pounds, and plays with violent hands and a motor that doesn't quit. He may not have the flashiest highlight reel, but the tape shows consistency, leverage, and a nose for stuffing the run. And let's be honest, the Cowboys need some beef in the trenches after how last season ended. That bonus? It's saying, "We want you in this building, and we're betting on your upside." Then there's Nathaniel Watson, linebacker out of Mississippi State. The Cowboys gave him $225,000 guaranteed, another huge number for an undrafted guy. Watson's got SEC experience, leadership traits, and a reputation for being a tone setter on defense. Not elite speed, but he diagnoses plays fast and hits even harder. Sounds like someone Dan Quinn, or whoever's calling the shots now on defense, would fall in love with, right? So here's the deal. When the front office opens the wallet for these two, it's not just about depth. It's about sending a message to the locker room and to the rest of the league. These guys, we believe in them more than some of our own draft picks. Let's put it to a vote. Who do you think has a better shot at making the 53-man roster, Denzel Daxon or Nathaniel Watson? Drop your pick in the comments below. Because next up, we're digging into why the Cowboys felt the need to send this kind of message in the first place, and who might have pushed them to act this way. Now, you might be wondering, why the sudden aggression with these undrafted signings? Why throw around guaranteed money like it's candy the day after Halloween? Well, let's connect some dots. Because a lot of signs point toward one guy, Brian Schottenheimer. Yeah, the same guy who started last season as a question mark in Dallas, but has now become a central figure in shaping this team's future. Schottenheimer isn't just steering the offense anymore. He's clearly gaining more weight in Roster decisions across the board. Think about it. These signings weren't random. They show a clear preference for players who are smart, tough, and versatile. That's the Schottenheimer mold. Daxon and Watson may not be stars yet, but they fit that gritty, lunch-pail football mentality he loves. They're dependable. They're coachable. They're his kind of guys. And when you zoom out and look at how the Cowboys handled the draft overall, especially their mid to late round picks, it all starts to make more sense. This isn't just about collecting talent. It's about building a team with a clear identity. A team that can out-prepare, out-muscle, and outlast the opponent. But here's where it gets really interesting. If Schottenheimer is behind some of these moves, it suggests his voice is getting louder in the war room. Maybe louder than Mike McCarthy's. Maybe even louder than Will McClay's, at least in certain rooms. And let's not forget, the Cowboys haven't been shy about grooming in-house. Leadership lately. Could Schottenheimer be getting the reins in more ways than one? Quick question for you. Do you think Brian Schottenheimer should have this level of influence on roster decisions? Yes or no? Hit me with your take in the comments, because in Chapter 4, we're flipping the spotlight back to the players and breaking down 3 under-the-radar UDFAs who could absolutely steal a roster spot before Week 1. Now, let's get into the fun part. The players who could sneak onto the roster and give us all something to talk about. We're talking about the guys who might not have had the spotlight on draft night, but have every opportunity to make a name for themselves in training camp. First up, we've got Zion Childress. The man can hit, and that's not just some pre-camp hype. Zion's ability to step in and play multiple positions in the secondary makes him a perfect fit for the Cowboys' defensive style. If there's one thing that always gets you noticed in a Dan Quinn defense, it's versatility. And Zion, while the Cowboys have a stacked wide receiver room, you can never have enough competition, right? Josh has the hands, he's got the size, and what's more, he's coming from a high-powered offense where he's had these and potentially make an impact in the preseason. And finally, the one that might be flying under the radar the most, Bruce Harmon, the cornerback from Stephen F. Austin. Okay, I'll admit, I didn't even know where Stephen F. Austin was until I started diving into Bruce's tape. But after watching him, I can tell you one thing. This guy can flat out cover. He's not a household name, but with the right coaching and a little bit of luck, I can see him working his way into the depth chart. And hey, when you have Schottenheimer and Quinn overseeing these guys, the chance to impress is there. Will these players be able to overcome the odds and surprise us all? I'm betting at least one of them will, and the others will at least make it a tough decision for the coaching staff. Now, I want to hear from you. Out of these 3, who do you think has the best shot to make the roster? Drop your thoughts below, and I'll see you in the next chapter where we discuss the most important position battle in camp. All right, here we are, the final stretch. We've talked about some rookies who have something to prove, from the undrafted free agents making their mark to the potential surprise players that could be the talk of training camp. But when it comes down to it, it's all about what happens when the pads go on, and how these guys respond to the pressure of the NFL. Look, we know the Cowboys love their underdogs. We've seen it with players like Tony Romo and even Cavante Turpin last season. So, for players like Tayon Holden, it's a chance to prove the doubters wrong. The Cowboys want to see if these rookies can handle adversity and still show up. If Tayon Holden can rise above the small bonus and lack of guarantees, he could really make the Cowboys look foolish for undervaluing him. The mindset is clear. Turn that chip on your shoulder into a mountain and make them pay. But it's not just about Holden. The question is, who else is going to step up? We know that camp battles will be fierce this year, and the players we've talked about are going to have to fight for every spot. Whether it's Zion Childress, Josh Kelly, or Bruce Harmon, the Cowboys will be looking for players who aren't afraid to make an impact in the most competitive camp yet. The bottom line, this team is shaping up to be something special, and it's not just about the big names on the roster. It's about who can earn their place, show up when the lights shine brightest, and make an impact when it matters most. So, as we wrap this up, I want to know, who do you think will surprise us and make the roster? And more importantly, which position battle are you watching the closest during camp? Drop your predictions and thoughts in the comments below.